Okay, Assalamu alaikum and very good morning to all. Now, I would like to share with you the group project for from the previous students, your senior. All right, the topic of their research was factors affecting students' academic performance. I know some of you are doing similar topics, but you can take a look at this one closely on how the students did the research, the objective, and then coming up with the methodology. And then, of course, they came up with the use the existing instruments and put them together for data collection, collect the data, and then they analyze the finding, and then trying to answer back all the objective research question and hypotheses used in their research. So I will explain more or less. Right now, of course, for this project, all I need is just the slide, right? For the moment, just the slide presentation, and then if it is okay later on, then only you can compile them in use Microsoft Words and get it submitted. On a bit of background of the research, and then the statement of problem. This is very important, right? Well, you need to implicate here what is the basis of your research. Here mentioned was that personal factor, bad attitude was often said as a factor that can affect students' academic performance. And then IDMI 2014 indicate that student interest in academic and their study habits are significant predictors for their academic performance. Not sure whether that one is related to what is happening here at UNIMAS, especially at our faculty. On the other hand, lecturers are known to play an important role in disseminating knowledge to students. So need to see whether there is any evidence on this one as well. A study by Su 2012 implicates that most students prefer lecturer for past knowledge, skills, and abilities related to the courses they are teaching. Well, okay, those are in the statement of problem. All right. Now the objective here. Look at this. There are many objectives put up here, right? Many objectives, of course. I don't care about this one, but actually why they try to put as many objectives as possible, because they really want to make use of the data they collect from the students. So they put up here so many objectives to determine the one objective, to determine the demographic attribute of FCS HD students. Then the second one is to determine the mean score, right, or personal factor affecting FCSHD student, to determine the mean score. Actually, this one can be put together into just one objective, actually. Yeah, but nevertheless, never mind. They put it as many objectives because they want to be very specific. That's why they need to come up with every single objective here. That's okay, never mind. Now that one just now was univariate, right? Univariate meaning to say only one variable. They only look at one variable only. But here, you can looking at bivariate, means to say, bivariate means more than one. It has to be two variables, right? If you look at this, what I mean by bivariate here is to find out if there is any significant difference between gender, one variate, and one variable, and other academic performance is another variable. So it means that there are two variables. And then the second one is to find a very significant difference between program and academic performance, to find out if there is any relationship between personal factor and academic performance, and then family factor, academic performance, environment factor, academic performance, lecturers factor, academic performance, teaching method, academic performance, assessment for student, and academic performance. Now, if you see here, they are here using independent t-test, but down here using Pearson correlation. Pearson correlation here. Why this different? Because of the nature of the data. When you use independent t-test, meaning to say one of the variable is categorical, you see, male or female only. Whereas the other one is academic performance is a continuous variable from Likert scale, 0 to 7, 0 to 5, 0 to 10, right? And that's why they use t-test, because there are only two variables. If it is more than two attributes, I say male, female, not just male, female, maybe ages, various ages. Let's say 10 to 20, 20 to 30, 30 to 50, 40, and so on and so forth. Then you might not be able to use t-test. Then you have to use ANOVA, right? So that's the test, the kind of test. Now for Pearson correlation down here, right? Well, you need to use both has to be continuous. Mean to say, the kind of data is like environmental factor or family factor. Because family factor may be a choices of using Likert scale again. Both are using Likert scale, for example. That's why you can use Pearson correlation there. Right? These are the bivariate objective. Now, research question. All right, there are also some research questions that are being used here because they cannot use their hypothesis, so they use research question. Right, these are the hypotheses for the study. And now here are the conceptual framework. Actually, not many things here. There are only more or less three variables. One, demographic variable, then dependent variable, academic performance, and then another independent variable here is the factors affecting student performance. Only three, simple. But of course, if you look at this, only three, but they can come up with many objectives just now. So be creative in coming up with your objective. Now look at this, then the definition of terms. As I mentioned before, you need to do a conceptual definition as well as operational definition. Yeah, the conceptual definition here comes from previous study definition, or it comes from dictionary or encyclopedia. But the operational definition here can be from previous studies or from encyclopedia or also from dictionary. But more important is how these operational terms define in your study. It could be the same with conceptual definition. It could be different. Okay. Right. Now conceptual definition. Yeah, still. Yeah, there are many terms that need to be defined. Then of course we need to address the methodology part of the study. Now, the research design, this is very important. You need to indicate your research design. So for this one, it is a quantitative research using cross-sectional survey method. Cross-sectional survey method. Cross-sectional meaning that you want to see any different similarity, Malay and non-Malay, male and female. You are cross-checking in between the gender as well as different attributes in the demographic variable. Okay, second year FCS HD students, number of sample, Malay, non-Malay. Then sampling methods, simple random method, non-probability sample. Unit of analysis, they're looking at individual as well as group. So this one should be individual and group. All right, correction there. Methods of data collection, primary data using questionnaire, secondary data, literature search. Okay. Now, the research instrument close-ended questionnaire. Of course, the language they use is Malay and English. The questionnaire was answered based on 5-point Likert scale. I told you before, it has to be more. It has to be odd and not even, right? The number of Likert scale. Now, validity and reliability. They use peer review, getting feedback from peers on the questionnaire to improve the reliability and validity. But then again, they are using the questionnaire from previous studies. But nevertheless, they're also getting feedbacks from the peers, and just to ensure that the questionnaire is readable and easily understood by the potential participants. This will help increase the validity and reliability of the questionnaire. Now, supervisor's opinion, this also very important. Comments and suggestions were gathered from supervisor from time to time to further improve validity and reliability of questionnaire. Now, from the pilot test which they conducted, well, they get a Chromback alpha a value of 0.912, which is very high. Yeah, so it's very good. Now, this also, you need to come up with data analysis framework because we want to know how are you going to address the data analysis. For specific objective number one, here it implicates whether it's a research question or a hypothesis. And then where is the source of instrument from? We need to address it clearly here. Section in the questionnaire, which section address this objective and what kind of data analysis technique will be used. Here we use a descriptive statistic method. Yeah? Right? Then we go to other objective, right? 7 and 9, up 10, 11, 12, 13. There are so many objectives here. Okay, if you look at the right side here, the data analysis technique to use Spearman correlation, right? Instead of using Pearson correlation. Why? When we have problem, especially in terms of normal curve, whether your population, the data that you gathered is a normal curve or not. If it is not normal, then we use Spearman correlation, right? Instead of Pearson correlation. Okay, now research timeline. You need to also do to implicate what you have done, the timeline of your research. Right? Okay. Timeline. And then now findings and discussion is very important. Data process, collection process. Well, you need to explain briefly how many questionnaire were distributed, how many were collected, and what's the Chromback alpha value at the real day one questionnaire. You see here is lower than when they did the pilot test. 5 questionnaires were considered as faulty and cannot be used. The reason for this one may be they just simply answer and submit the questionnaire. So this one has to be checked properly. Make sure whatever final data that you're gonna analyze are good data. Now the summary of finding here, use this kind of table so that easy for us to read and easy for us to understand. Of course, this one is a summary of the finding. First, maybe you need to display one by one, but this one is just how you can improve it by just at the end of your chapter 4, you need to come up with this summary of finding. So this will make it so easy. Specific objective your study, this one research question or hypothesis that you, then here is the finding. For example, for this objective number 1, there is no sophisticated analysis that has to be done. All that is required to be done here is just using frequencies and percentages. That's it. Male, female, race, Malay, non-Malay. No, nothing here. Accept, reject, not here. Compare, with no need, nothing here. Right? So then objective number 2, what are the level of personal factor affecting academic performance? The mean score is 3.67. So it's moderate, something like that. Just the mean score here, a unified mean score. Not all the individual items under that objective, but all the individual items grouped together to form one and then divided by the number of items, it becomes a 3.67, a unified mean score. Yeah, unified mean score for each of the objective. Level of family factor affecting academic performance, 3.73. This is a level of environmental factors. Of course, like I said just now, under each of these factors, there are many items, 5 to 10 items. But all I need is just one mean score only to address the level of mean for each of the item under study. And not for each of the item, for each of the construct under the study. This is level of environmental factor, 3.21. Level of lecturers factor 3.79. Level of teaching method 3.66. Level of assessment of student 3.69. Yeah. This is level of student academic performance 3.5. This meaning to say students are mostly good students that are included in this study. Now, on average, there's the score of the student 3.5. That's very high. Now, to find out if there is any significant difference between gender and academic performance, this one just now is using independent t-test, sample t-test. Okay, greater than 0.050, 0.0 and 9. That means to say it is greater than 0.05. So we cannot reject the null hypothesis, have to accept. So that one is different from previous study, different from previous study. That's why you need on the right side here is whether compared with previous study, whether it's the same or different. If it is different, in what way is different? So I need to mention that. Now the second objective here also accept. Yeah? The third objective also have to accept previous, whatever in the previous study is the same with your study. Here also, the third one, no relationship between family factor, also accept. No relationship between environmental factor, academic one, accept. There is no relationship between lecture factor and academic factor. Okay, this one reject. That means to say there is a strong relationship. Good lecturer, teaching, means to say better result. That's what the student will do. And then here, also there's no relationship between teaching method and academic performance. There is no relationship between assessment for students and academic performance. Yeah, they mean to say here is reject. So actually there is a relationship between assessment method for student and academic performance. Mean to say between a test and perhaps a take-home exam, the performance will be different. Yeah. Well, obviously, and that's it, right? So if you can do this one, this is actually in chapter 5, where you need to show what are the similarities and differences with your objective or hypothesis. This discussion has to be done in chapter 5. But for this presentation, we only put in the chapter 5 to simplify your presentation. And then you need to come up with the references and all the references used in your studies. You need to list them out. And that's it. Thank you. So if I think this one is clear enough, I will give you this example for you to check again what you are doing. So if you have any question, please let me know. All right, so thank you very much and have a good time. And please give me your feedbacks. All right, thank you and all the best.